added a 2020 Jeep Gladiator to the garage. So what I did was I'd been looking at F-250s with a diesel, and with the current market as it is, I was not interested in paying way over sticker for what those are going for. So what I did was I started looking around, and I've had multiple F-150s, modern as well as old, and I really wasn't wanting to do another F-150, but I was still looking. And I saw this sitting on the lot at the local Ford dealership. And originally, I was not a fan of the Gladiator, the modern Gladiator. As somebody who's had a CJ7 for close to a quarter of a century, I was really fond of that old look. But when I saw this one, I changed my mind. Usually, I'm not a black on black fan, but this one works with the black on black. And with it, as I like to say, tastefully modified, it really does have a much better stance and just a total overall better look than what they come from the factory with. So what the dealer in Kansas had done was they pulled the factory tires and wheels, went ahead and powder coated the factory wheels black, which keeps that original look but gives it something a little bit different that's going to set it aside from what that factory wheel would have came with. They slapped 35-inch Nitto tires on there, which really give it an aggressive stance, but don't really change the ride too much. So it still has great function for city driving as well as highway driving with the style of lug that this tire has. It's not going to be too aggressive. It's not going to have that loud drone on the highway. So it really rides smooth. I took it with the wife. We took it down for a longer road trip where we drove about 2.5 hours down to Springfield, Missouri, and it did well. It has the Rubicon suspension underneath it, so that was factory suspension was pulled, and they put a Rubicon suspension underneath this to give it that higher stance and a little bit more of a lift. Originally, this had come with a soft top. What the dealer in Kansas had done was they pulled the soft top and they did the 3-piece hard top, which is a great upgrade because the way that this Freedom top works, you get to have the tops that you can pull out from the front as well as still retaining the back. So you get that easy off with the couple of quick latches. And what that does is allows you to take these off, keep the main top, and have that quick function of on and off, and you can take the tops even with you. As you can see, the Freedom top, they've modified it for the later years. What they've done, instead of having to unbolt from the sport bar over here like you did on those JK models, the JA models went ahead and went one past that. No longer do you have to unbolt from the sport bar, but you got the quick, easy turn latches that literally just turn in place, flip the latch, and you're good to go. Put these in the bag, and you can literally pull them off on the go and have the top off. If the weather starts to turn on you, you can just quickly put them right back in. From the factory, Mopar is now offering where you can do the tri-fold bed cover, which I've never had a bed cover. I've always been one of those guys where I'm like, I don't think I want to do that because I don't want to have to mess with it, and I just figured functional wise it would be a deterrent. So I always went with an open bed design. This came with it from the factory, and I'll tell you what, it's changed my mind big time because I really like having the security feature of having it closed, as well as if weather and stuff like that comes along, anything I'm going to have in the bed, I don't have to worry about it getting messed up with water or snow or various other things like that. With it being the tri-fold, it's quick and easy to open, unlike a full solid hard one. And that's a great thing that I'm really enjoying with this. Drawback with it being a tri-fold, it's the style that it stops folding here. So once I'm at the full fold, I do lose about 1/3 of the bed. My neighbor with his F350 Platinum, the cover that he's got on there, it folds vertical at the end, which gives him the full use of the bed. That would have been something better that Mopar could have done, maybe something in the future. When it comes to the tailgate, one of the things that I do like, while you can have the full open feature, when the vehicle's locked, you have the power locking tailgate, which means when the doors are locked, the tailgate's locked. It's all accessible just like you would with all the regular doors. So if you want it unlocked, you unlock all 4 doors, the bed unlocks, and you're good to go. It has the soft open feature, so you literally just let it drop and it'll go on its own instead of that old school ka-clung bang. They also offer from the factory where you can spray the bed with what I will generically refer to as a rhino liner. I'm sure there is another brand that they're using, probably an in-house brand, but either way, it's a spray-in bed liner. So again, you don't have to mess with any of the aftermarket stuff. It's already taken care of from the factory, which is another great addition that Mopar has got on their vehicles. So from the factory, I have the tow package that's set up on here. It comes with the 7-pin as well as the 4-pin connectors back here, which really helps out with getting things towed from one trailer to another. It has the backup camera, which I definitely recommend just about in any vehicle, but especially one that's going to have the long bed, a high clearance rate, because of the fact you're going to lose all of this when you are backing the vehicle up. It does have the feature which allows you to zoom in on the trailer, which, let me tell you, I've used already multiple times with different trailers, and it makes for hooking up almost effortlessly. It's a game changer, let's just say that. So here we have the regular backup camera view. This is a lot more clear than what that Charger SRT8 had. While that was a fine backup camera, I do see the big difference between the clarity and detail that this has versus what that one had. Now up here I have the little plus symbol. If I hit that, I'm going to zoom right in onto that trailer hitch. And as you can see, that's going to make it a lot easier to zoom in and see what you're doing when you're backing up to a trailer. And it is a game changer for certain. One of the other things that the dealership in Kansas did was they went ahead and they pulled all the cloth seats out of the Gladiator, and what they did was they put leather seats back in their place. So again, bumping up the upgrade on this Jeep, where the Gladiator now is going to have a little bit nicer of an interior, but still keeping that cost relatively low. So with those cloth seats pulled, it really adds to the feature of the Gladiator, where it's going to have all the leather. It's nice and dark, just like the regular of all the vehicle is. And as you can see, when we come to the back is also wrapped in leather as well. So it gives it for a really nice, clean look. I've seen some where they tried to do this as well, and they didn't go the full mile, where they just did leather on the front and left the cloth in the back, and that would be a definite no-go for me if that was how this was. One of the things that I wanted to do was, being in the Midwest, I wanted to make sure that the floors stay nice, so I went with the Mopar slush mats, which are really nice because they are form-fitted all the way to the vehicle, to where everything is seamed up, like here we see on the transmission mount and tunnel, and then underneath where they go into the molding of the body as well, and over here under the seats. They're going to have nice little Easter eggs all over them as well. So if you come up in here, you'll see there's a little dinosaur head over here. And there's going to be a pickaxe and shovel over here. And they all have this general off-road terrain going on, which is pretty nice. They all lock into place into the factory mounting position so that everything is held exactly where it should be. so nothing is going to move. It all stays exactly where it should. And one more Easter egg I didn't think of, there's your classic 1941 Willys. Other little things that the dealership had done, they added in the step bar, which makes for a lot of easier in and out entry, which is definitely something I enjoy. They also did the stubby mount on the antenna. I like to joke that this is my big flex right here. I got my carbon fiber, so for all of you carbon fiber fans, it may not be real, but it's my carbon fiber. Another thing that I added the convex mirrors so that way my blind spots aren't going to be as great. If you watch some of the shorts I put up, it really changes the look on what kind of blind spot view I'm going to get. If I was doing the perspective of the Gladiator, this is about what the Jeep would get normally. But if I add those convex mirrors, I'm all the way out here. I'm catching vehicles in the convex mirror, or blind spot mirror if you want to think of it that way. I'm catching vehicles completely in this before I even see any of them here. So it is a definite game changer, especially if you're pulling a trailer. But with these small mirrors, you definitely need to make sure that you got your blind spots covered. Things that I want to change on the Gladiator, other than the couple of little things that I've already done, I really don't want to change too much on it because of the fact that it is very tastefully done and it has a great look and feel to it. Things that I do want to change over the winter is I want to pull the Sport S style plastic bumper on the front as well as on the back. And I want to go with the Rubicon style 3-piece metal bumper. It's going to retain the factory look, but it's going to give it just a little bit better function. It's going to have a mountable winch. It's going to where you can pull off the ends and make it into a stubby. Probably won't change the length of it. I do like the full length look and function, but having the winch as well as a functional steel bumper in the front and the rear is really something that's going to be beneficial. And I'll most likely swap out the plastic hood latches and go with something that matches that Rubicon style bumper setup in the front and the back. Because the Gladiator does have a bit of a higher stance, I did want to go with an adjustable trailer hitch. So I have my 180 degree waist safe style adjustable hitch, which gives me 6 to 7 inches worth of travel. It also gives me the 2-inch and the 2 5/8 inch balls so that I can flip it as needed. I don't leave this on as I'm driving around. There's really no reason to, but what it does is it gives me the ability to have a very functional hitch as well as giving me the utility of different trailers. I pulled with a huge tilt 5,000 pound trailer the other day when I was hauling the RX-7 and I needed a larger ball, and this is something that would make switching from one trailer to another very easy. What you're going to find here is you have all the modern conveniences that you would when you're running through the nav screen, where you can do everything digitally through that. But what you're going to find is a ton of them are going to have your push button features, which is really nice because you don't have to go through a couple of menus to get to what you want. Do all your functions from the windows to the seats to your nav. We could pretend like this is where we turn into an Avenger because it has a very similar logo. It's the auto start feature, which for me, I like to have it off most of the time just because being old school, I just like having the vehicle run when I come to a stop. The window mounts obviously are going to be on the inside. It's got the full media. It's a very modern car, but again, it's still a Jeep. So it's going to ride like a Jeep. It's going to sit like a Jeep. It's going to feel like a Jeep. Don't change your expectations of expecting something that's going to ride like a high-end Mercedes SUV when you're buying a Jeep SUV. This is a Jeep that happens to have a trek bed on the back. Great thing about this is that it allows me to add another vehicle, something different, something with 4 doors, still retain the ability of towing as well as hauling stuff in the bed. Now, it's going to have the 5-foot bed, so the 60-inch bed. So it's not going to be like the F-150 that has the 8-foot bed. But if I was to do a modern F-150, that's only going to have 66 inches versus this one's 60. Now, the F-150 may have a little bit wider and a little bit deeper of a bed, but this one works great for me. If I require something bigger than that, I can always grab a trailer from Cisco, which is going to make things very easy. It's a 15 to 20 minute drive to his building. I can grab a variety of trailers over there, and I could be in business rather quickly when it comes to hauling something much larger or heavier. Is it going to have the towing capacity of a modern F-250, which I was originally looking at? Absolutely not. But again, those are two completely different vehicles. So when it comes to having that mega towing capacity that the 250 was going to offer me, that's great. But when you consider that I was going to be spending an extra $20,000 between the two vehicles, I would rather buy 2 or 3 vehicles with that amount of money instead of just the one. And that's where the new C3 Corvette comes into play. So because I'm not working with unlimited funds, I do have funds, but not unlimited, I would rather have multiple vehicles that fit into my price range, that are not going to break the bank, but allow me to still have my fun. That's where the C3 Corvette comes in. It allows me to do multiple vehicles for what I could do with one really expensive vehicle. Thank you for watching today's episode on the addition of the Gladiator to the garage. I hope you enjoyed it and continue enjoying the videos that I have to produce. If you would, hit the like button, leave me a comment. It really does help push the videos through the algorithm. And until next time, this is Rob's Garage.